All right, let's jump right in and tackle a classic physics problem. This one is a vector-based collision, straight out of the famous Irodov collection. Now, if you've ever tangled with one of these, you know they can be a real challenge, but don't worry, we're going to break this thing down piece by piece. So here's our game plan. We've got 6 parts. We'll start by just understanding the problem. Then we'll find the core physics principle that unlocks everything, build our equation, do the math, and then finish up with a handy toolkit you can use for any problem like this. Sound good? Let's go. Okay, first things first. Section 1, understanding the setup. Before you can solve any physics problem, you've got to really know what you're looking at, what you're given, and what they're asking for. So here it is, word for word. Now, I know this can look a little scary, especially with all those I's, J's, and K's in the velocity. But don't let them spook you. All they are unit vectors. Just think of them as little signposts pointing you along the x, y, and z axes. So a velocity of 3.0 I minus 2.0 j just means our particle is zipping along 3 units in the x direction and 2 units in the negative y direction. That's it. It's a fair question, right? You look at all this and think, where on earth do I even begin? It's totally normal to feel a little overwhelmed. But the secret is to just take a breath, ignore all the numbers for a second, and ask yourself one simple question. What's the one big rule of physics that governs any kind of collision? That is our starting point. And that brings us to section 2. The whole solution of this problem really hangs on a single, super powerful idea. And you know what? The problem itself gives us a huge clue about what it is by telling us the kind of collision we're dealing with. The problem says it's a perfectly inelastic collision. Now, that might sound complicated, but in plain English, it just means one thing. They stick together. After they smack into each other, they become one single blob moving off with one shared velocity. That makes the after picture way simpler. It also tells us something really important. Kinetic energy is not conserved. Some of that motion energy gets lost, maybe as heat, during the smash. Now, for any collision, as long as no outside forces are messing with it, there is one golden rule that always applies. It's the law of conservation of momentum. All it says is that the total amount of momentum you have in the system right before the crash has to be the exact same as the total amount of momentum you have right after. This is the key that's going to unlock this whole thing. So we have this beautiful, elegant physical law. But how do we turn that into an equation we can actually plug numbers into and solve? Well, it's all about translating the before and after into math. First, let's get organized. Let's just lay out everything the problem gave us. And here's a crucial first step, a real pro tip. Get all your units consistent from the very beginning. We're using SI units, so we've got to convert those masses from grams into kilograms. This will save you so much headache later on. At its very heart, our guiding principle is this simple. The total momentum before they hit, P initial, is exactly equal to the total momentum after they hit, P final. And here's how that simple idea expands into our master equation. On the left side, you've got the before picture, the momentum of particle 1, which is its mass times its velocity, plus the momentum of particle 2. And on the right, that's the after picture. Since they stick together, we have their combined mass multiplied by their single final velocity. This is the equation we're going to use. All right, section 4, we've got our master equation all set up. Believe it or not, the hard physics thinking is pretty much done. The rest of this is just being careful with our vector algebra. Let's walk through it. So here's the game plan, just 3 simple steps. First, we'll calculate the total momentum of everything before the collision. Second, we'll figure out the total mass after they've stuck together. And third, we'll just use those 2 things to solve for our final velocity. Okay, step 1. Let's get that total initial momentum. We take the mass of the first particle, 0.001 kilograms, and multiply it by its velocity vector. Then we do the exact same thing for the second particle. Now, to get the total, we just add those 2 momentum vectors together. And this is the most important part. You have to add the components separately. Group all your i's, add them up. Group all your j's, add them up. And group your k's. That gives us our final initial momentum vector. Awesome. Now we just go back to that master equation we built and rearrange it a little to get v final all by itself. All we have to do is take that total initial momentum vector we just calculated and divide it by the total mass of the combined particle. And voila! There's our result.
After you divide each component of the momentum by the total mass, which is 0.003 kilograms, you find that the final velocity is 1.0 I plus 2.0 j minus 4.0 k. And of course, don't forget the units, meters per second. We found the final velocity vector.
But hold on, we're not quite done. The problem asks for the modulus of the velocity. It sounds pretty fancy, doesn't it? Well, it's just a technical term for its magnitude. In even simpler terms, they just want to know the final speed of the combined particle.
So how do you find the magnitude, or the length, of a 3D vector like this? Well, you use a version of the Pythagorean theorem. Just extend it out to 3 dimensions. You just square each component, you add them all together, and then you take the square root of that sum.
So let's plug our components in. We've got 1.0 squared plus 2.0 squared plus negative 4.0 squared. Now be careful here. That negative 4, when you square it, becomes a positive 16. So what we've really got is 1 plus 4 plus 16, which all adds up to 21. And the square root of 21 is about 4.6. So the final speed of our combined particle is 4.6 meters per second. And just like that, we have completely solved the problem. Okay, before we wrap up, let's just quickly summarize the strategy we used into a simple toolkit. That way you can take these same ideas and apply them with confidence to any other physics problems you come across. So the crucial takeaway is that there's a repeatable process here. Always start by identifying the type of collision. That tells you what rules to play by. Then you apply the right conservation law. In our case, momentum. After that, just be super careful with your vector components and make sure your units are consistent. And finally, always remember the difference. Velocity is a vector with direction, speed is just a number. And please, be mindful of these common mistakes. The biggest one for inelastic collisions is forgetting to add the masses together for that final object. It's so easy to overlook. Also, always double-check your negative signs, and please convert your units at the very beginning. And I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. How would this entire problem be different if the collision was perfectly elastic? You know, if the particles bounced off each other like billiard balls instead of sticking together. Momentum would still be conserved, but you'd actually need a second conservation law to solve it. What do you think that would be? Give it some thought. Thanks for walking through this one with me.